today's subject expert. I am Nikita Khandelwal here to welcome you all on behalf of Research Foundation of India. It's Criterion 3 in our FDP on exploring dynamics of national education policy 2020 with reference of NAAC perspective, which is organized by Research Foundation of India and sponsored by HERF, Eklavya University and ARGA. So the topic of today's session is research, consultancy, and extension. And for this, Dr. Deepak Agrawal sir is here with us. But before we start with the session, I would like to throw light on the achievement journey of our today's subject expert, Dr. Deepak sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, ma'am.
So, Dr. Deepak Agrawal sir is a doctorate in management finance along with masters in management and commerce. He has initiated his career as a finance manager in a public limited company looking towards public issues management and project financing, later joined as a part of academic fertility, having of 22 years of experience in teaching line. He served various institutes in administrative positions also. On his account of 45 research papers, 29 research papers were published in national international journals, including 4 in Scopus journals, followed by 16 papers presented and published in national international conferences, and having one book published on his account also. If we talk about other credentials, it includes developed curriculum for finance in DAVV, MBA program as a committee member, resource person for skill development as at MSME, MDP, and FDPs. Resource person for academic learning towards developing quality research paper in association with Research Foundation of India, and mentor for the Mahatma Gandhi Rural Education and Development Program. Sir has received a certification of excellence from Shri Agrasen Club awarded by Mayor of Indore in 2014 and facilitated for PhD at PIMR International Conference. So with this, we are having a very knowledgeable personality here with us. So sir, we request you to guide all of us with your valuable knowledge. Please hold the footprint, sir. Now the footprint is yours.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you once again, the team RFI, for inviting me. Very thanks to Ashok Gupta sir, CEO, Chairman Saurabh Jain sir, National Head Ajay Jain sir, Nikita ma'am, and all the members of RFI, along with the participants from the various institutes and organizations. I hope that you are able to see my PPT on the screen.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Sorry for
So
the
today,
disturbance. Just
yeah,
one second, sir, please. It's my humble request from all the participants that please try to keep your mic on mute during the whole session to follow the decorum of the meeting. And if having any question and query, you can follow that after the session. Thank you, sir. Now please continue.
thank you, ma'am. So this is the topic. Although we know that NAC is now become a mandatory element in the academic world. Secondly, we also do understand that in the future period they are coming up with the new policies. But in the meanwhile, let us we need to focus upon the existing policy and whatever the changes will be recommended by the committees that is going to be incorporated in the near future. So out of the various criterias in today's session, we are going to discuss something related with the research, innovations, consultancies, and extensions. We know that research is the one of the basic element in nowadays environment. Even the industry is focusing a lot towards the research. So what is the existing position of our research in the worldwide scenario that we will see in the next slide? These are some of the important ingredients we are going to include in today's session. So let us at a glance look over the highlights in the terms of research. In the gross expenditure on research and development in India has been seen and continuously uptrend in the past years, which are almost doubled from approx 60,000 crores in the year 2010-11 to 127 300 crores in the year 2021. So this is the data source, that is gst.gov. But then too, if we go through the table, the maximum allotment was been reserved in the year 2009-10. It was the era or the period where the China moved ahead as compared to India, and they took the lead in the worldwide scenario. And in the short period of time, they have even beaten the USA. So that was a peak period, but still, as compared to that, the huge amount is being spent in the research. This is the proportion of the research by the government investments, and approx 0.64% is being invested by the government in research. Let us move to the another slide. This slide indicates the role, the participation of the government, business tycoons, and the higher education sector investments made in the research. So they have classified the four elements. Number one, that is the investments made by the government in the blue shade, investment in research by the business enterprises, investments by the higher education, where we people belongs to, and the miscellaneous investment sources. Not getting into much of this thing, but even if we go through it, we just go through the USA, you see that 75% of the investments comes from the business enterprises. The role of higher education is 11%, and the rest remains to the others. Whereas, if we compared with the other countries, just like Australia, 51% from business side, 52 for Canada. Again, the government enterprises in China, because although they assume that they are the democratic country, but still it is a communist country only. So 77% contribution comes from the government sector in China. Similarly, if we talk about to 66 and 67% of France and Germany simultaneously. But as we talk about the India, I'm sorry, this so the red line is for the business enterprises. I'm extremely sorry. So when we talk about the India, 50% of the investment in research comes from the government side. You can see this graph. Whereas 41% of the investment comes from the business enterprises, and the higher education sector will include only 9% in R&D investments made by the institutes. So you can see how the low percentage is being made or invested by the higher education sector in India. That is very, very low. The focus, number one, is to improve in the higher education investments, and definitely the improvement is been finding out. New patents are coming from the various institutes, and the liability of getting the new patents is not only with the IIMs and IITs, but even the level B, that is the B and C level institutes, universities are also focusing upon it. So again, if we see in this graph, 23% investment is made by in Italy by the education sector. You see Mexico, which is to be assumed as a third world country, even 51% investment comes from the higher education. South Africa and all these things. So even the developing nations are investing high on the research and education, then it becomes the foremost important for our country that more contribution must come from the higher education sector rather than the government sector. Let us move further with some facts and figures. As seen in the second slide, India spent 0.64% of its GDP on research and development in the year 2021, as compared to other developing nations, particularly the big countries, which includes Brazil, 1.3%, much higher. Russian Federation, 1% approx. China invested highest in 2.4% in R&D, and South Africa is 0.6%. So we stand somewhat equivalent to South Africa as compared to India, but the rest of the big countries, they are far better than us. But whereas overall investments, it is 0.3% of the GDP of the Mexico. So most of the developing countries or most of the developed countries spend more than 2% of the GDP on research and development, and that is far behind by these developing nations. No country can grow unless they have their own ideas. Because once you get your ideas or products patented, it will provide you the huge revenue and for a very long period of time. You see, earlier there was the impression that China used to copy each and everything from the developed nations, particularly from USA. It may be possible, but what they did, they spent heavily on R&D. They might have copied the technology. That is a questionable part. But nowadays, the maximum research is coming in the electronic segment, and they are the pioneer in it. As the China's government owned the patents in their hands, so they are saving the huge price over it. For an example, if you purchase a patented medicine, if it has been sellable at rupees 1, at least 20 to 25 paisa we are paying in the form of patent, and the same or maybe more than that is a profit for the company who is having that patent. That is the international one. Even then, the research output in India is the fourth highest worldwide, in which 1.3 million academic papers were published during the period of 2017 to 22. But the question comes or arises that out of this 1.3 million papers published during this period, how many of them got the patent? That is a part of the research. We do understand that we normally, I'm talking in a common sense, try to develop the paper because it is an academic importance for the growth, for the promotion, for the increments. There is a pressure from the management of the university that you need to get at least a paper, 2 or 3 papers published in a year. But the quality of the paper is not as per the international standards. As we compared, moving back, continuing with the research data, and whereas we are far behind as compared to the world leader China, in which they got 4.5 million paper published, that is more than 3 times. The US 4.4 million and UK 1.4 million papers published into the different journals. Indian growth rate, if we talk about the publication, is 54% as compared to 22% worldwide. So we are far better. We can say that we are improving. We have even nowadays patents been published by the students. They are developing new concepts, new ideas, new generations. So we are improving. And it has been expected that India is going to surpass the UK in terms of volume in the near future. The source is mentioned over there. India generated 8.9 million citations during the same duration. So definitely approx 9 million citation has been generated by the publication of the papers. 1.3 is approx 5 times of the papers which has been published. That indicates that there is the importance, or we are getting the importance of the papers which are published. But in terms of citation found, India falls at 9th rank in terms of global ranking. In spite of it, we are globally ranked at 9th position, where China has posed then more than 5 times of their citations. Even India tops 11 public and private. In India, tops 11 public and private institute produced more than 1.5 lakhs academic papers, generated 1.4 million citations. So almost ratio is 1:1, and maintains higher growth rate than the world average. So overall, if we talk upon, we are at par. We are no doubt far behind than China and USA, but still we are progressing. So it is expected that in the near future, definitely can surpass the following such type of countries like UK, China, and USA. Even we have performed much well as compared to the Germany, where Germany earlier used to be considered as the one of the most developed economy, and a lot of research used to come from there. But nowadays their performance is not as they are not able to even match with the Indian levels. Moving ahead, the question comes about that why the need of research arises. Definitely, it is required for the purpose of knowledge because it provides an idea related to new concepts, which is helpful towards the betterment of the society. It will provide an assistance to the major sectors like education, health, nutrition, technology, and businesses. Second need arises that is due to evidence. If any theory is being developed with the help of the research paper, you can challenge that theory, you may accept or you may reject it. So we can say that to argue, to criticize, to evaluate the theories defined earlier, the research has been required. Thirdly, it is helpful in decision making because once we go through those papers, it will create a better idea that what are the pros and cons if we apply such and such techniques. For example, nowadays we are talking much more about the analytics, business analytics. So how does business analytics can be implemented? It is possible only with the help of the statistical data analysis. And what is the purpose of statistical data analysis? Unless some data has been provided and that data will come in the form of research only. So whatever the outcome arises with the help of the research is beneficial towards the society and as well as the government of the country. Next reason is learning. It helps in building knowledge. Hypothesis. Research involves testing, confirming, and rejecting hypothesis. So if any idea, any concepts, any question comes to your mind, the solution towards the acceptance and the rejection of the question can be determined with the help of the hypothesis and its testing. Research is helpful in data collection, data mining, and data interpretation. So in that case, the reliability of the data is equally important. Next is business success and the economy of the country. You just evaluate that how many small enterprises, proprietorship concern, small business houses conducts the research. The outcome may be very, very less. Their actual research must come from our side. Why they are not conducting research? Although nowadays it's very competitive, the business is very, very in the competitive environment. And even if they get involved in the research, definitely they can improve their profitability. Then it is further required for critical thinking and innovation, innovative ideas is to become. And ultimately, it is also beneficial towards the students, society, industry, region, nation, and ultimately to the whole of the world. Because we believe that whole world is one. These are the various weightage provided by NAAC assessment to the HIs, higher education institutes. I hope that you might have gone through it earlier. So my focus area is only on the third point. In terms of research, innovation, and extension, the universities has been assigned 250 points out of the total score of 1000. Autonomous colleges 150 and affiliated and constitutes colleges the weightage is of 110 points. So you see that university responsibilities increases once they talk about the research. But again, the thing is important that out of those outcomes, how many work has been got patented? How many ideas is been absorbed by the industry or by the government? That is the real outcome. So this is the weightage for the research innovation, that is 250, 150 and 110. So just moving ahead with the criteria 3. Research, innovations, and extension. It basically, this criteria deals with the policy, practices, and the outcomes of the institutions in terms of research, innovation, and extension. Now, when we talk, what is academic research and innovation? Ultimately, it is beneficial towards the students. It involves the consultancy services, which can be one of the source of revenue generation for the institutions. Presently, the skill development programs has been highly recommended because various schemes are being launched by the central government. Many institutes are engaged in the skill development program. Why? Because huge funds are being provided. So the government is now very, very rigid and very strict. There are certain criteria are being implemented by the government before disbursing the funds to the institutes. But in that case, if something new concept comes upon, definitely it can be implemented and you can get a good revenue from those things. So ultimately, research, academic research, provides the revenue to the organization. It deals with the facilities provided and efforts made by the institution to promote a research culture. Again, you can do the self-evaluation. How much promotion is being made under for the conduction of the research in your institute? What are the benefits? Is there any financial or non-financial support provided by the institute? Just like you have been paid to attend the conferences or seminars. At the second side, there may be an appreciation. Okay, you have done a good job. You have represented your institute in any type of conferences where the paper has been presented. So this creates a motivation amongst the others. The second element under research is that is the extension. So ultimately, whatever we have learned, we have defined, we have developed, must be transferred to the society. Because the society has sacrificed a lot to us, and it becomes our liability to revert all these things to the society. So this all comes in the form of extension. Extension is basically includes the extracurriculum activities towards the development of the society. These are the subdivision for criteria 3. Criteria 3 includes 7 subpoints. The first is promotion of research and facilities. These are the various scores. Universities and autonomous colleges 20 points, where the constitutes and affiliated colleges are kept free from it. So second is resource mobilization for research. Resource mobilization, getting the fundings. That is important element. For universities it is 20 and for the affiliated colleges it is 15. So there is a big weightage provided for the resource mobilization. In terms of innovation ecosystem, developing the innovative research, promoting innovation, developing products, tools. For that, the university has assigned 30 marks or points. Then it is for 10 for autonomous and 50 for the other places. Just please hold on. Hello. Yes, sir. Good afternoon. हाँ मेरा सेशन चल रहा था सेशन चल रहा है मेरा सब्जेक्ट के ऊपर RFI में जी मैं लगाता हूँ या so these are the subdivisions. Innovation ecosystem, different marks are assigned, research publications and rewards, consultancies, extension activities, and the collaborations. Total score of 250, 150, 110, and 120. So if we focus that university is having the highest weightage in this criteria, and followed by autonomous colleges, and ultimately followed by the PG and UG colleges. Again, just you go through. For university, 100 marks or points are being assigned towards the research publication. which is highest amongst this criteria. 50 for extension activities for autonomous colleges, and they expect that the UG and PG colleges must also get towards the extension activities because they may lag behind the research activities. So these are the basic criteria. Let us discuss one by one. Promotion of research and facilities is the prime responsibility of the HI. The objective is to create research environment and the involvement of the teachers so that they can promote more research in their campuses. So ultimately, the institute responsibility, or it is the university responsibility, to create the atmosphere to conduct the research and provide the facilities towards it. Criteria 3.1 also discussed that there should be collaboration with the third-party agencies, other institutes, research bodies for sharing research facilities and undertaking collaborative research. We will talk about the innovative cell in the later slides. So in this case, if we assume that we are lacking behind research, we should try to have a MOU with the various third-party agencies, which may provide us assistance, facilities to conduct the research. There can be a collaboration with the industries. So our team, including faculties and the students, can be sent to those industries where they can conduct the research. Similarly, it includes the department seeking recognition from national and international agencies. So that is need to be identified. How we will do? Either we can do the research, Google it, find out the various, or through the various affiliating agencies are there, or even not so, we can even contact to our respective university. There can be innovative cell, or there may be ISC cell. So there we can go and discuss about these activities. The faculties also should be encouraged towards the interdisciplinary research and ensuring the implementation of the stated code of ethics. Ultimately, at the same time, it is necessarily required that the code of ethics, that means at business ethics, similarly, ethics related to research must be strictly followed upon. And ultimately also to provide the infrastructure facilities required to conduct the research. That all differs. In terms of sciences, there is a need of laboratory. In terms of management and commerce, different type of laboratories been required, which may not be as huge as the pure sciences laboratory, but the different tools can be used over here. But when we talk about it, there are the certain problems coming to us, and that is number one, that institutes have the limited infrastructure, limited resources. These are the two basic limitations. Many of the institutes, they are not big enough. The number of students are not as per the norms. They are not in a position to determine, to get their break-even point. In such type of cases, there is, due to the lack of infrastructure facilities and maybe the funding facilities, these things are been restricted. So this is a problem in research. Thirdly, research involves lots of time. For the 8 hours we are regularly engaged in academics in our institute, 4 to 5 hours we are providing the time to our family. 28 plus 12 to 14 hours we are already engaged in various activities. So ultimately there is a time problem, and that's why we many times are not in a position to promote the research. Lack of motivation and guidance. Sometimes few faculties claim that, sir or madam, we want to conduct the research, but we don't know how to move ahead. Or we need to motivate our subordinates. Being the head of the institution, being the leader of the institution, it's become our responsibility to motivate our employees to conduct the research and provide the guidance as and where it is required, or you can take the help of the third party sources as discussed in the previous slide. And there is again the lack of practical oriented research. In the initially I have talked upon that we are conducting research for only the sake to improve the API, but we are least interested towards the actual outcomes. But it requires time, it requires practical exposure. Simply getting a PG degree and entering into the academics will not make you the perfect teacher. I have seen number of times that many of the commerce teachers who may be experienced with 5, 10 years, 15 years experience, and even if you ask them to fill a bank deposit slip or a withdrawal form, they are not in a position to do it because they never did it. And nowadays everything is beneath the help of the mobiles. So they didn't never did it. That's why they are failing even. So ultimately, practical orientation research has been required. Then one more thing, research basically focuses only on the PG students. The UG students, we are least focused because the maturity level of those students is also not enough. So we assume that, okay, you go with some small project report, training report that is sufficient enough, and you will conduct your research at the time of post graduation. So identify the potential students. Then slow learners must be provide them as a part of the team, and they will do some another type of work, just like getting into the field, collecting the data, punching the data, preparing graph charts. This is how they should be get engaged. It will create a sense of responsibility towards the research among the students. And there is a lack of ecosystem in many of the education institutes. So moving to number 3.2 criteria, resource mobilization. Again, when we talk about the resources, they are classified into three broad categories. One is the financial resources, second is the academic resources, and third one is the human resources. Financial is foremost important because research requires much time, and many of the times you may not get the fruitful results. So in that case, how you will proceed ahead? So financial resources are two options available. Either then can be institutional support or you can get the funding from the various third-party agencies. Second is academic support. Teachers who wish to conduct research, they should be motivated and they may provide a relaxation in their duty hours or in the classes. Might be a teacher need to conduct 3 to 4 lectures in a day. If they are actively participating in research, 1 or 2 lectures can be transferred to someone else so that their focus area should be concentrated on the research only. Talking about the human resources, both type of things are required. That is a support system. There should be there is a need of an efficient supports who can make decisions, who can write, who can analysis, who can interpret. So that is the biggest challenge. Getting a good human resource is a big challenge in a present scenario. So this is how these three pillars are helpful in resource mobilization. Let us move further. With the words of Judith, she is the director of technical strategy USA, one of the firm in USA. Organizations are not entitled to support, but they must earn it. There is a policy of self-sustainable, just like our institute is highly dependent upon our parental institute situated in Delhi. Management influences us. You need to stand self-support in the next academic session. We will not provide any financial assistance to you. Now, these are the similar words. If we are not getting any assistance from the parental institutes, how we will survive? So in that case, it is a challenge. It may be a way through which we need to develop the alternate sources and getting research, getting the projects from the others. or even getting the fundings for research can be an additional source of earning. So this what the Judith like to suggest that organizations are not entitled to support, but they must earn it. They must be self-sufficient, self-dependent, self-made up. Resource mobilization for research. It refers to all the activities involved in securing new and additional resources within an organization. It also involves making better use, maximizing use of the existing resources. So what is resource mobilization? Resource mobilization is broadly classified into 5 categories. That is, we need to manage these 5 resources, which includes that is the material resources, which are having a physical existence. Development of the lab, acquiring the utilities, classrooms, anything else comes under this category. Second is the human resource. Again, I assume that there is a big challenge because adequate human resources is equally important. There should be a criteria for it. There should be a mindset of the faculties of the human resource that must match as per your requirements. And if not so, it is required that we must train them and then make it as per the requirement. So resource mobilization. And even that if we are unable to get the resource hired from the outside world. Third is the morality, moral resources. No, we should not move ahead the ethics of the research. I quoted an example that many of the copyright products, that is the image copy, has been made by the corporates in in China. They initially copied each and everything, but they conduct the research how this thing was being made, just like a PCB. They conducted the research as such. They prepared that product by themselves with little bit modification, so they do not required to pay for the patents, and this is how they reduce the cost, and ultimately with the mass production they are earning a good amount as compared to the any developed nation based patents. For example, one of my ex-colleague made a visit to China. I'm not remembering the iPhone model number, maybe 6, 7 something. So it was been available at around 60,000 rupees original iPhone in India. The true copy, the first copy was available in 20,000 rupees in Indian currency in China. Everything remains the same. Nothing, there is no difference. So that is against the business ethics. So that is also need to be developed. Next is the cultural resources. How your society reacts. I belongs to Indore, and many of my fellow colleagues who belongs to Indore, they do understand the time of opening of the market is after 11 o'clock in the morning. Many business areas are open. Traditional business areas are open at 12 o'clock in the morning. Sorry, now it becomes the noon. At 12 noon, and they shut down their shutters somewhere around 8 to 8:30. So hardly 7 to 8 hours the businessman is working. This is the culture. They says, I discussed many of them. They says we earn a good amount during this 7 hours period. So we are not so interested to work for a long duration. But other than that, the people who resides in metros or any other cities, you can understand that how they struggle, how much time they devote for their businesses. And finally, in resource, we talk about the socio-organization resources, what the resources are available from the society, organization, government. These are also are equally important for conductions of the resource mobilization. Now, which type of resource can be arranged under the research? It can be in the form of grants, which can be received from government and non-government organizations for the research projects endowments, and to chairs in the institution. So there are grants, financial aids provided by the government, maybe any some of the private agencies may be helping that. So this can be the one major source of research fundings. Secondly, there should be a percentage of teachers recognized as the research guides. Again, the ratio is very, very critical. There is a criteria as per UGC affiliated institutes. Code 28 is a mandatory norm to become a guide along with a PhD. But in real terms, these doctorates, these guides, how they are going to contribute because they are too young, too fresh, they may not be having enough knowledge to provide the research work. So it is important, number one, to identify the actual researchers, motivate them, promote them, provide the fundings so that they can really implement their ideas into the business world. Then percentage of departments having research projects funded by the government and non-government agencies. So this can include some percentage by the research, just like what the IIMs and IIMs, the IITs, they are doing, IITians, they have a fixed project, just like there may be the ratio of 70-30 or 80-20. So if the institute gets 100 rupees, 70 rupees will be kept by the researcher and 30% by the institute. The ratio may differ from university to university. I'm just simply quoting an example, hypothetical example. If you are senior person enough and you are having a good knowledge, the ratio may vary. So what it did, it used to provide the fundings not only to ourselves, but create the funds for the university or the system, which will be further used for the development of the candidates. It can also include the joint ventures in research and academic activities, which are encouraged for resource mobilization. So there can be a joint ventures between the third party agencies. The funds from them will be help in supporting our research work and growth. So this is about the resource mobilization. Criteria 3.2. Moving to 3.3, that is innovation ecosystem. Innovation is the part of the life history because the world is changing drastically. With the help of the AI, it is expected that the world will change very frequently in the near future. But at the second side, we need to also understand the importance of the use of technology. Just like day before yesterday, I was maybe tomorrow, maybe yesterday or day before yesterday, I was going through an article which says that 70% of the robots in the world, operating robots in the world, are now installed in China. So ultimately, they are eating the jobs of the regular people. And again, it is a too populated country. It's very difficult for the survival of non-experts, non-technical people because robots are taking the jobs. So under innovation system, it is a network of people, resource structure that works together to create new products, ideas, and the work of life. It can be basically divided into three elements. Number one, the population of ecosystem that has both driven the development of its and the result of the ecosystem. So actually, they say they are talking about such type of people who are really interested in research, who are actually providing the true guidance and the real outcomes towards the society. The ratio may be less than 1% of the total population. Under ecosystem, we are talking about the location and environment where the ecosystem exists. We need to understand that environment where the system is working upon. We can't work against the environment. Again, the same example, if we talk about China, they used to get the people work for around 14 hours, 12 to 14 hours. In India, that is 9 hours. It is higher for the IT sector. In USA, it may be 10 hours. In some parts of the European countries, maybe 9 hours, maybe 10 hours. So it is necessary to understand this ecosystem, to understand which type of population has been there and how you can utilize it. सर एक सेशन में हूँ, बाद में लगो. The location and environment where the ecosystem exists, the interdependency, interaction, symbiosis amongst the population members of the ecosystem. Under innovative ecosystem, they are also having the great importance. It includes the companies, research institutes, entrepreneurs, corporation, investors, government, etc. You can see a chart over here which provides the innovation ecosystem, which includes the colleges and universities, startups, medical centers, mature companies who are having a huge fundings and they can provide the fundings for research, city, regional and state organizations, providers of support services, just like legal and accounting and etc. It can be comes in the form of venture capital funds. So these are the some of the way to have established an innovative ecosystem. Innovation ecosystem can be established with the help of an incubation center. And what is incubation center? It is just like a center which has been established in the institute to promote the research activity, to create the environment amongst not only the teachers but also the students, so that a platform with something innovative things can come upon. So there may be a lab, innovative lab, resource lab. There may be a platform. There may be chairs, tables, charts, graphs, anything which helps them to create something good enough, and that will be the revenue generation not only for those students but which includes the teachers and the organization too. So healthy innovation ecosystem draws values and delivers values to 5 different kinds of stakeholders. So whatever this ecosystem, incubation centers formulates, the outcome has been beneficial to the 5 various segments of the society, which includes the entrepreneur, the owner of the business, the risk capital, the person who is investing in it. You are watching that Shark Tank, if I am not mistaken with the word. So what they are providing the similar facility. The stakeholders are the corporate people who are there to invest. Ultimately, government agencies are there which provide fundings and the product, once it has been developed, they are ready to acquire it. And the university which we are affiliated to promote the research activities. In that case, universities from time to time conduct the various training programs for their faculties so that they can motivate it towards the conduction of research. It has been said that a healthy innovation system, ecosystem, draws values and delivers value to 5 different kinds of ecosystem stakeholders. So another concept which has been suggested by Mr. Daniel Isenberg, who is a professor of Harvard Business School, it includes the almost same thing has been there. It includes people, policy, culture, finance, market, and infrastructure support. So this is another model prescribed under the Harvard University. Under the ecosystem, it is also requested that we must develop an incubation center in the villages. The various cells, just like SHG, I hope you have heard this word. From 1 crore DDs to 3 crore DDs, we are going to develop the SHGs. What basically they are doing? They are promoting the rural females to be self-dependent. On the similar ground, we are doing a lot in terms of the cities and towns, but when we talk about the rural areas, there is still little work has been found. So the things must be developed. Customized development should be there for the various activities in the form of incubation center. The objective is to support the idea of villages and help them to nourish their ideas into effective action plan. because they do not have any platform to come upon. So in that case, if you make a visit to the villages and if you are impressed by some good project plan, try to promote it, try to bring at least at the national level so that their ideas can be shared and be benefited by the large part of the society. It further includes the required support at any point of time. This is how to be done. To share the same vision in peers to become an entrepreneur, we need to promote them to be an entrepreneur. Many organizations are working, nothing new. If we talk about the Amul, Sachi, these are the big brands. So they are promoting the rural people to be an entrepreneur rather than an employee. It will transfer the rural students into the young entrepreneurs. There is a brain drain. Nobody in the present scenario loves to stay in the rural area. They wish that they are, if they studied in some of the higher education system, they will never not interested to get back to their hometown village. So it is required that we should motivate them that you stay in your village, come up with innovative ideas, develop that plan, and providing the fundings can be done with the help of the academic institutes, and in this way they can earn a good livelihood from there. Students with innovative ideas and an opportunity to become entrepreneurs produce sustainable product for rural areas. So it indicates the same thing. They are efficient enough to provide a sustainable model for their villages. Continuation with the same. How to establish an innovative ecosystem. Create an innovation environment. Encourage creative ideas at all levels of organization. Create an innovation environment. How it can be done? There can be videos, there can be role plays, even then can be nukkad natak type of activity in villages so that they can understand these elements. Provide opportunities, allow for personal autonomy. Help in building networks. Network problem, basically they are having no cross connection to the developed people or to the business houses or maybe the agencies. They may be lacking behind. So ultimately it's become our responsibility to provide them a develop a network and provide these facilities to them so they can get a better price and better idea sharing with them. Then encourage diversity. Diversity related to the thought. Let all them come up with their new innovative ideas. Might be possible that 98% of the ideas are failed or repeated, but 2% will provide something innovative to the system. Define a strategy of the ecosystem. How you will proceed. This need to be defined. And everything should be in the written format. So in the third, we talk about the developing the innovative ecosystem. The criteria 3.4 deals with the research publications and rewards. We are highly interested in it. Already talked that we want to improve our API. Number of papers published in the Scopus Web of Science or maybe UGC CARE 1, UGC CARE 2 papers because they provide the higher score. It is a mandatory requirement being as a PhD scholar. So again, it is a requirement. So research publication has been very, very important. And what does it include? This 3.4 criteria includes number one, that is the research ethics. Whenever you send the paper for the publication, there is a declaration on the statement of research ethics that you strictly follow the guidelines provided by the publisher, and this paper has been not been copyrighted. There is a copyright form and undertaking by yourself related to plagiarism. So this all comes under the research ethics, just like business ethics. Then there should be an ethics for the committee. All will work together. Either they may sit together or they may work from their home. But there should be an ethics for the specified communities. Next is the plagiarism. Whatever you have been producing in the form of a project report should be checked and should come in the original format. Because if in there is a plagiarism, it will be returned back. Plagiarism is nothing, it's simply copying the other work and presenting that it is of your own. That comes under the plagiarism category. Then it includes research advisory committees. How many committee members should be there, and all this thing has been defined in it. Then code of ethics. There should be some defined bylaws that if you are violating these laws, it will be considered as a breach of contract, or under that you may be barred, debarred, or may be restricted to present your paper or to publish your paper in the various journals. Then this also talk about that some incentives must be provided to the teachers for their contribution. Then number of research paper per teacher should be defined. At least ask them to prepare one research paper per semester. So in a year, 2 semesters are there, they will be ready with 2 research papers. But second side, don't let them to simply copy and paste. You ask them to actually conduct the research. If they do it, they will learn it, they will remember it for the life, whole of the life. Then there is the criteria related to number of PhD registered peer eligible teachers. So this need to be also been informed to the associations of NAAC that these are the associate working with us in the form of a doctoral degrees. Next element is the consultancy. What is consultancy? Consultancy is simply sharing the revenue and the project with some expert companies who are interested to conduct the research, and due to lack of time, they will provide you that you do conduct the research and send us the report. But at the meantime, it is very, very necessary that this work should be done by the experts only. The consultancy includes the revenue generated by the institute. It includes adequate distribution method between the institutes and the faculties. Again, just like one example I came to know that one institute took over the skill development program, and the management of the institute says you will not get a single penny. So somebody argue with the management, if we are already, this is an additional job, you will earn a good amount from it. All the teachers are going to conduct the additional job, so they should be remunerated with certain amount. So this is how the interest between the institute and the employees are being lost. So there should be some financial support system between the institute and the faculty. There should be criteria, and according to those criteria, they should be allowed to conduct the work. What did they work? It includes policies, procedures, outcomes, facilities, efforts, and research cultures. These are the elements to be included under the consultancies. You can see the score in every slide. After consultancy, we comes upon to the last session of this criteria, that is 3.6. Extension of the activities. What exactly it means? We ultimately belong to the society. Society has sacrificed us everything. They have sacrificed resources, which include land, then people, environment, the workable force, and many of the things. So if we are utilizing those resources, it becomes our responsibility towards their betterment and upliftment. So when we talk about the extension activities, you see there is a huge weightage over here. They expect that you should contribute more to the society, to the rural area, to the backward area, with the form of research. Research doesn't mean only conducting the research within the classroom boundaries or wall within the classroom. The objectivity is to create awareness amongst the students by providing opportunities to work with people and to create awareness and knowledge of social realities concern to the welfare of the community engagement. It can be done in the many ways. You will say, we are having an NSS facility. We are doing such type of activities in it. In point number 3, you will go through it. That NSS activities is considered separately. It is not considered as a part of the extension activities. Then what we should do? You can organize a health camp. You can provide free education system, child education. Then there can be many type of activities like Nukkad Natak. Encourage the parents to send their children to the institutes, schools. And if they are not doing so, we can even try to reach over there. This is the one of the activity we have just recently started. A nearby village, to the large extent, the generation, they are not interested to study. Number one is the environment, by the family environment. And secondly, as such, the environment is not there. So they are not interested to further study. So we approached to such type of 1 or 2 villages and we identified at least 10 children. And that will be in the series, like initially, they will be taught about this like anar, AB, anar, etc. Or then like ABCD for a specific period. To the next step, another batch team will be go along with the students and they will carry over. So this is, we are trying to experiment this time. Let's see how much we are successful. So this is an extension activity. The institute is not expecting any return in monetary terms, but at least the satisfaction, the return to society is important. So it is objective to provide the students the core value of all-round development to conduct the research with some extracurricular activities. Once again, I would like to extend that our parental institute, that is Lal Bahadur Institute of Management, Delhi, which offers the PGDM program and comes under the top 20 in Indian management institutes. They are nowadays having 100 marks for rural immersion program. It is a very good concern to implement by them. 3 of our institutes, including our Indore Center, they are in the rural areas. So they are sending the teams, batch teams. Recently, 60 students came from Delhi. They stayed here in our campus. We made the arrangements for in the campus itself. No outside movement was been allowed unless and until with the related work, rural immersion. We make them arrangements to make the visits to the various places, including trenching ground, working of municipal corporation, working of the rural, this panchayat and all these things. They met with the villagers, farmers, and panchayats and all these things. So this is an extension activity to the institute. They come up with a new learning because those students belongs to the metro cities, particularly few of them, they have never visited a village in their life. Secondly, while interacting, they came up with a real problems. Number one, that is the education problems related to the females and child particularly. So this can be a part of a co-curricular activities. It should be planned to engage all the students, teachers and non-teaching staffs along with, in addition to NSS. This criteria seek information on the policies, practice, outcomes of the institution concerning research, innovation and extension. So this was one of the example which I have quoted you can be included as a part of the extension activity. It deals with the facilities provided and efforts made by the institution to promote research culture, not only amongst the teachers, but the students will also be get engaged in it. The institution has responsibility to enable faculty to undertake research projects useful to the society, serving the community through extension, which is the social responsibility and the core value to be demonstrated by the institution. So at this point is already been discussed that ultimately The objectivity is to conduct research which will be helpful to them in the rural segment. The report must include the number of extension and outreach program in collaboration with industry, community and NGO through NSS, NCC, Red Cross, YRC and other agencies like the clubs, World Bank, UNICEF, etc. So such type of activities comes under the criteria 3.6 and they says they all must be properly documented. You have conducted the work, but it has not been documented adequately, then it is of no use. So it should be properly documented that this type of activities we have done by the various agencies. Detailed report should be made available with specific mention of number of students, collaborating agencies, participated along with the documentary proof, and in case of any reports which is published in the newspaper or anywhere should also be included in it. Furnish the total number of awards and recognition received for extension activities from government or any other recognized bodies. Following data to be uploaded as the data template, which includes the name of the activity, the name of the award or recognition, name of awarding agencies, and the year of award. So these are the elements to be included under criteria 3.6 to claim the necessary score. The last element comes, that is 3.7, collaborations. It includes training, student exchange, faculty exchange, research and resource sharing amongst others. You always comes to know that there are various exchange programs or MOUs has been conducted with the various agencies. Like AICT, they have tie up with they have a MOU under exchange program with Japanese universities. So they asked earlier, it's almost 10 months I think, they have asked earlier the institutes who are actually interested to conduct the faculty exchange or the student exchange program. Many institutes are conducting such type of things. So this comes under the collaborative efforts. Some of the activities can be engaged like of managing discipline during festivals, traffic control, that is police mitra, municipal corporation. Very good system was been initially made by the mayor of Indore. They have provided training, but particularly it is also sort of the industrial training work to the many students. They were being interviewed in that three levels, and finally the final students were being sent for to the different departments. So it was just like off job training to them, but it was unpaid. Then tree census can be one of the activity. Eco-friendly Ganesh Visarjan activity, river cleanliness. There can be RTO safety work can be done, no vehicle day, helmet release, any type of activity which comes under the collaborative exercises. There can be government programs. Again, it has been made mandatory by the AICT to conduct the awareness, election awareness campaigns, and a daily report was been required to be, the last date for furnishing of the report was 14th of March 2024. But may not necessarily required with the AICT. It should be by our own self. So what can be done? I just told that in this type of a Nukkad attack, you can conduct this type of activity. Voters awareness programs, passport issuing, hospitals, organ donations, emergency medical services, blood bank camps, blood banks, Paryavaran Sneha Sammelan, historical forced cleanliness, orphanages, distribution of sweet and blankets to children living in orphanage, financial grains can be even donated over there. So this can be as a part of the collaborative efforts. And for all of these things, we need to maintain the record, followed by the same, the list of collaborative activities department-wise, consultancy policy, revenue generated by the departments with the consultancy activities, MOUs entered with the industries and NGO, I hope you are all are knowing that minimum 5 MOUs need to be tied up with the industries or maybe the NGOs. That is the minimum requirement. It can be much more. And the efforts made by your students in it, and the list of activity conducted year-wise under the signed MOUs. So these are the activities must be conducted under the collaborative efforts. So this is all from my side. These are the few resources referred over here, and all the images they are been patented or maybe copyright to their respective sources. So thanks for listening. The session is open now. In case if you are having any queries, that are most welcome.
Now it's an open question round. If you have any queries and question participants, please just go and ask them.
In the initial stage, don't worry about the fundings. You start with some innovative activities, establish an incubation center, and try to develop few research activities. Definitely, with time, you will learn and you can get better fundings.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
Last question.
Yes, sir.
Sir, I am Dr. Tikendra Kumar Sahu, HOD and Associate Professor from School of Design and Visual Arts, APJ Satya University, Gurgaon. I have a query related to the research supervisor. So, does there any credit will be counted for the making supervisor? Because we are facing some problem in the institute. Sometimes we want that credit because we want to engage our students. Without that, how we can guide them? The slots are not fixed properly, but also there's no such kind of like support from the university, so we can able to feel that we also contributing and we are getting credit for that. Because after the PhD award only the supervisor can get that credit into the account, like we have guided someone. So is there any policies for this in this regards?
Like that, sir, what you can do, this is the mandatory part, is being a scholar working under you. Just in the same manner, you should try to adopt a live project.
Okay.
Suppose a scholar is working under you, try to develop a project which is live, so it will generate a revenue. You can simply directly take a model of IIT or IIMs. What these people are doing, they have a research cell. They have the research cell is working throughout the time duration. They used to get the project from the various private agencies, maybe including government agencies. For example, they got a project, they earn a revenue, the institute earn a revenue of rupees 1 lakh.
Okay.
So there is a fixed proportion between the director, professor and the institute. So whatever the proportion is been released to the team, not exactly the professor, basically it is a team. So that will be a revenue generation and a recognition to the guide and the team who's work under his or her. So
Okay.
this will can be a better solution. And secondly, once you generate a revenue, additional revenue to the institute, it will always come to the management in the not maybe in an initial, maybe later period, because private institutes, they are having a different opinion. Just one example I would like to quote that I was having interaction with somewhere in one institute in Indore. So they gradually adopted one skill development program. So I was also sitting with the management and the director. He's a close friend of me. So they says, no, you work on it, but whatever the revenue will be developed generated will not be distributed. So after brief discussion, I also requested, whenever sir, if the people are working and this is the additional source to the institute, so at least there should be some transformation of the funds to them. They will be motivated. So it all depends upon the management perception. So, but most importantly, that is the real research must comes upon, and with the help of the actual project only it can be generated.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir, for your answer. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? So fine, ma'am. Can we close?
Any query? Thank you so much, sir, for spending your valuable time to for guiding all of our dear participants. The knowledge which you have shared today will surely help them in their future in every aspect. Thank you so much, sir, once again, and thanks to all the participants also for being patient, listen, and cooperative during the session. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day to you all.
I hope all the participants have been benefited by this session. Thank you once again to all of you, and especially the whole of the RFI team and Nikita ma'am too. You too. So may I leave the session?
Sure, sir, sure. Thank you so much, sir.